Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Christina, and for today's video, I want to review how I've used the 2023 B6 Common Planner, kind of what worked for me, maybe what didn't, what I wish it had, and then how I'm going to be using the 2024 planners, which I covered in my previous video. So these are the two that I will start planning for next year, but in order to properly plan for these, I do need to review how I use the 2023 Common Planner. I hope you find this video useful. Let's get started. This is the 2023 B6 Common Planner. As you'll see, it's part 2. I joined the sterlingink bandwagon a little bit late, so I purchased this one in early June. So you'll see later in the video how I used it before the official July 1st start. So we flipped open. The way I used it in the beginning was the first few pages. I used it for more like stickers, putting in stickers of places I've been to, some memory keeping, stickers I collected along the way. I normally would have used this more as a vision planner or a vision board, but because I started late and didn't really think about how I was going to use this planner, all of this just kind of happened organically. I've been collecting little stickers as we went, more as a way to remember and to note where we've gone. Then we get into the goals page. I don't think I've ever shown this page in any previous video before. Nothing incredibly personal here, so I'm open to sharing it with you all. As you can see, there's a lot of blank space because I walked into this planner by mistake and a little bit late. I didn't plan my goals properly, and the planning I had done leading up to this particular sterlingink Common Planner, I was doing everything digitally. I switched to paper because the digital planning for me at the time was not working, and so I didn't really actually have a good way of translating any of the goals I had set for earlier in the year for 2023 and transcribing that onto paper here. So this was all kind of done like one time when I was sitting down. It doesn't include everything I've been working on or what I should have been working on. And so this is a big lesson learned here where I plan to take my time planning my goals, breaking them down, just feeling comfortable with it before I commit it to paper here. 2024 will do this very differently. The pages after this are the quarterly pages. So you'll see here I went ahead and I put a line down the middle. So the left side was your priorities for each of the month, and then the right side was accomplishments. I really love the accomplishment sides, and I've been doing this more with my work planner, not so much with my personal planner, but I really want to revisit this for 2024. For the remaining quarter that we're in right now, I have not touched this, and I most likely will not touch this until I figure out how I'm going to do 2024, and then I'll probably start it in November and December to kind of get myself into the habit. Now, in terms of this page, which is really, if you look at it, it's each of the months and it goes down each of the individual days, and I really struggled with this. As you can see, it's really hard to write and read the different items on the columns here. My brain just doesn't read in that way. I also struggled with how I wanted to actually track it. Did I want each row to have its own pattern? Did I want to color in each of the boxes? Were they dots? It didn't work. I stopped completely in September. I haven't looked at it since. I'm not sure if this adds any value to me. What I do miss though is kind of the year in a glance page that some of my older planners had in the past. So let me show you an example. This is the golden coil, and this was from year 2020. Yeah, 2020. Another planner I've used in the past. This is just a moleskine that I use for bullet journaling. 2021, obviously I love this spread in 2020, so I try to replicate it. But again, I really love looking at all the colors and my goals. So I need a way to replicate this or see how I can do this for 2024. More on that in a bit. So moving on to the monthly spreads. I love this spread. All the spacing within each of the days, these boxes are perfect. There's enough room, you can write in them. I can put multiple events for each of the days within the month. I really like the blank side. Here, let's pick a blank month. I love this open side on the left, and I was using it to do the color codings. And then I also put in some, priority items to keep track of for the month. Looking back in July, some what I call priorities. The color coding is great. I think I will keep it for 2024. Now, something to note about these monthly spreads is even though I really like them, I use it more for planning purposes. I use this more to know going into the month what I have to look forward to and what I have in front of me. I'm not really using it as a mechanism to flip back and forth. I'm not using this throughout the month to say, oh, what am I doing this weekend? It's more for me to plan ahead, and then sometimes I will retroactively put in some key events if I need to, or remove some things if there was like a rain date or something got canceled. However, it's more for planning. I'm not using it to reflect back as much. So for the weekly spreads, this common planner starts July 1st, but I received it in June and I was so excited to get started. So I went to the first blank pages after all of the weekly spreads, and I just went ahead and created my own weekly spread. So you'll see a few things right off the bat. I put in my own monthly calendar here. I wrote out my own dates. I'm a Monday start, and I outlined some of the bigger events that were important and things I need to be aware of. Notice there are no timestamps. There's no deadlines assigned to any of my to-dos. And then actually I started doing, things I need to think about for next week. This is something I should probably continue to do. I know I haven't been doing it. Some light expense tracking that I was doing here. Of course, my weekly habit tracker, and then what books I'm reading. And I did that again here for June. Same idea, still reading the same books. It got a little bit messier. I started putting movements on the bottom, also putting in food, but I think it took up too much space. So if you go to the following week, I got rid of all of that. I really like the simple look, and clearly I don't need the times stamped on here, and you'll see here as well, even though we have times on here, I'm not using them. So now we're starting on the weekly spread that came with a book. It's the last week or the first week of June or of July, depending on how you look at it. One quick thing I'm going to notice right away is, why do my to-dos, these little circles, get so big compared to how small these are? I think maybe because the spread is like the whole page. I took advantage of it, I don't know. But you can see it has the monthly calendar up here on the left. Again, always a Monday start. I kept the weekly habit tracker, and this is something that will be consistent for every single week. And then some of the books I'm reading. To-dos, and even though there are times stamped on here, I'm not really using it. Honestly, I kind of ignore it completely, but I will still outline kind of like the bigger things that are scheduled for that day. But all the other weeks were pretty consistent, still not using timestamps. The big events, the daily appointments or meetings, those are specifically outlined. Weekly habit trackers, meals, and then of course, just general to-dos for the week. It doesn't necessarily mean expenses for work was due on the 8th. It's just, I usually put them wherever there was room. And I refer back to these pages all the time, almost every day. Let's move on to the daily pages. I adore blank pages, because it's all at the end of the book, right? So the moment the weekly spreads ends, it goes right into the daily pages. And I love the daily pages because it doesn't force me to write. My biggest concern is that when you have fixed pages that says monthly spread, weekly spread, and then daily pages, especially if they're already numbered for you, it gives me a bit of anxiety that I need to fill up every single one of those pages or I'm a bad person. Clearly, that's not true. But I like the flexibility of all the blank pages being at the end because I can treat them however I want. I use them for memories. I put photos in there. Sometimes I use it for monthly reflections or monthly stats, like what I've been doing that month, what I'm reading, what I'm listening to. I use it to write down my notes. I mean, here, just yesterday, I was writing down what my goals were for the year and just mind mapping. I use it for, let's see, like to-dos, stickers. Sometimes it's packing lists, sometimes it is just shopping lists. Other times I'm using it for expense tracking. I mean, really, I use it for everything, and I don't write in it every day because there's some days that I just can't, and I love the flexibility. Now, I saw this in someone else's maybe Instagram or YouTube video that they use pages at the back of the book. So you're right, your books usually go from the front to back, but then from the back to the front, they've been using it in different ways. So I gave it a try. I'm not sure how I feel about it. The very last page, I used it for like scribbling graveyard, use it to keep some random notes, like some handouts from camp that I need to keep an eye on, like lunch menus, just when I'm brainstorming food ideas, just general notes, school calendar things. And one thing I realized as I was flipping through here is that I even had a books read page or books to be read page as well. And I have not updated this in a while because I completely forgot about it. Like the back of the book is something every once in a while I'll refer back to, but like I usually cannot remember what's back here. So I'm not sure if the pages from the back to front are really working for me. So we'll need to figure out how to use this better. So some final thoughts about 2023 Common Planner and how I used it. I love that it is all in one book. I initially started this as a work planner and life planner and realized I had to separate those like church and state. Work is a large part of what I do in my daily life, and honestly, my job and my work is a bit of my identity, but I didn't want to carry around work-specific things in here because I didn't want to risk exposing company information or proprietary information onto YouTube or social media. That's one main reason, but also I do like that it's separate. So as you've seen in my previous videos, I have a Mauve 2023 Undated full year common planner that I use just for work. What else did I love about this? I love the size of this. It is a B6. It's a half year, so it's really compact, pretty small. It fits in my purse, and even though it's gotten a little bit chunky, I love it. And I'm curious how this will feel in 2024 since the cover's a little bit different and it's for the full year. Same B6 size. So right now they're pretty similar in size because this is so chunky, but as this gets filled out, I wonder, A, will it stay closed? And B, will I need a cover to keep everything together or even a band? Time will tell. I wish it had like a year in a glance page, something like this. However, given that it's a B6 size, I don't know if it's possible anyway. A few things I didn't track, but I wanted to track better is how I use my time, reading goals and books I read with some ratings and comments on books. So a good example is in my 2021 planner, my bullet journal, I created a list of all the books I wanted to read, as well as these are the books that I read, and I filled them in with the title and outlined the book as I read them. So this is something I did in 2021. 2020 had more of just like these lines of books, actually it's books, notes, whether or not I finished it and how I rated it. I continued it onto the next page. I didn't like the way this worked. Oh, I think this was 2019. I drew this out and I colored it in for when I finished the book. It was cute, I guess, but I think I need more information than just the cover. More to come on how I plan to track my reading in 2024. So while I love the 2023 Common Planner, clearly enough to get the next year's version, there's a few things in the way I use this book that I've missed that I want to be able to track better for 2024. So a few things. First is I want to track better how I use my time. Other things I want to track are bucket list items or things I want to accomplish that year. So trips, people I want to see, things to do, even planning ahead for the following year. The last thing I want to be able to track more efficiently in 2024 is having a better mechanism for meal planning as well as writing out my fitness plan. So every week I kind of think about, okay, what do I want to accomplish in terms of my movement and fitness? What do I want to eat? How do I make sure that I stay on schedule or stay on target? It's been a little bit harder to plan that in here. If I use my daily pages, sometimes I have a shopping list in here like this, but it wasn't really working for me. Could I use these daily pages to write out like my workouts for that day or for that week? Of course. But because it gets lost in kind of my journaling, I didn't feel like it was the most appropriate place to do that. And this is how I plan to use 2024 planners.